Wait, Hold Up What? A podcast from the women behind Eliminate Girl Hate. Stories are the foundation of progress, and for too long, the voices of women and marginalized communities have been ignored or silenced. At Wait, Hold Up What? We're reclaiming space to share the struggles, triumphs, fears, and joy that shapes our lives. Join us as we explore the intersections of identity, equity, and empowerment, offering education, support, and a little inspiration along the way. Whether it's breaking barriers, celebrating wins, or tackling the tough stuff, this is a space for everyone to feel seen, heard, and uplifted. We invite you all to join the conversation and help us explore ways to eliminate girl hate together. Can a bra help change the trajectory of a girl's life? Did you know that nationally, only 20% of girls engage in at least 60 minutes of daily physical activity, a lower rate than boys? Or that girls' participation in sports drops off significantly from the ages of 10 to 17? Wait, hold up, what? Yeah. Some of the barriers that contribute to this include lack of financial means, lack of role models, dropping body confidence, and concerns about body changes, including breast development and the need for a sports bra. The simple intervention of a sports bra, along with the normalization of body development, can change the trajectory of a girl's relationship with body movement for her whole life. You heard that right, her whole life. Every girl deserves to feel comfortable and confident in her own body. And that's why Bras for Girls partners with more than 25 athletic brands and donors just like you to distribute new, high-quality sports bras and breast development booklets to girls in need, ranging from the age of 8 to 18. Let's get girls in well-fitting sports bras right when they need them the most. Girls plus sports equals a beautiful world. You can donate to Bras for Girls today at brasforgirls.org. And as a side note, Eliminate Girl Hate has partnered with brasforgirls.org and will be donating a proceed of all merchandise sales to helping girls get in the bras that they need and keep them in sports. You can help by shopping the Eliminate Girl Hate store today. Did you know that 80% of the world's purchases are influenced and made by women? Or that 90% of product development, manufacturing, and corporate leadership is led by men? I don't know about you, but that seems like some funky, disconnected math. This disconnect means large segments of the population are not getting their needs met because the products being made never even asked us what problems we needed to solve. Instead, companies use a pink it and shrink it philosophy. Not familiar? I bet you are. You know it. Take a man's product, make it smaller, paint it pink, sell it for 25% more. Then, when the products fail to make a dent in the market or to sell rapidly, they say things like, the market wasn't ready. Or, we were so sure it was going to work, I wonder what happened. And then they move on. I'm here to tell you, the market is most definitely ready. But the market is savvy. And putting some paint and saying it was designed for us is a slap in the face. We have real needs, and we're not settling for anything less than real solutions. If this sounds familiar to you and your business, then it's time to connect with Eliminate Girl Hate. We help businesses understand the lucrative consumer segment of women and how to meet their needs in authentic ways. From problem solving, product creation, marketing, and even human resource practices, we help create safe and equitable spaces for the female segment. And these safe spaces increase profit margins, employee retention, and brand loyalty along the way. It's time to start a revolution and meet your consumers where they are. It's time to eliminate girl hate. Check us out, eliminategirlhate.com, and find out how we can help your business today. So welcome to season 2 of Wait, Hold Up What? I'm very excited about this episode. I think this is going to be episode 5, but if not, just pretend. So today I have somebody I know really, really well, my friend Lucy Lane. Wait, is that still your last name? Okay, cool. She got married a few years ago. I don't know how those things work anymore in modern society. Okay, so we are going to talk about something, and I'm not going to give away the sound bite necessarily. So what I'm going to start with is say that Lucy and I worked together for a number of years. I was
theoretically her manager or her boss or however
You
you.
were totally my manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I always feel weird saying things like that because it's like, okay, I was their boss. But just candidly, I don't know that I run my teams like other people. And so I end up becoming very close with a lot of my team members. And actually, I was with a friend this weekend and we're talking about she and this other friend we have, Tony, shout out Tony. They pick up strays. It's something we always joke about, right? Like they just meet random people and then they become lifelong friends.
Yes.
And I said, I never considered myself that person. And I was like,
totally that
but I'm that person. I said, but here's how we differ. Tony picks up people who need something, right? Like she can help them. She really wants to like help them. And Crystal picks up people that are older than her. Like all of her friends are like, I'm like 10 or 12 years older than her, right? I don't think I'm that much older than her. She just turned 40 and I'm not 50 yet. So whatever. But I'm older than her, right? Like a decade. And they were like, and you pick up strays that are so much younger than you. Like it's always like, I'm going to be the big sister or the aunt. And funny enough, one of our other coworkers used to refer to me as my daughter, non-daughter. And so you're one of the beautiful strays that I have picked up in my life. And I'm so much better for it. And I'm just so happy about it. So in our time working together, I mean, this is a while ago now. So how old were you when we were working together?
I had just graduated college.
Okay. So maybe 22-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 22.
Okay.
A child.
This is about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say how old I was at the time, but it was not 22.
Just 23.
Yeah. All right. I love that. And it was kind of your first corporate job.
For sure.
More or less. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about Lucy. So Lucy is the most industrious person that you could meet. She wants to do a good job. I should be saying this to you. You want to do a really good job and you're really good at like researching and finding out things and asking questions and then getting in there, right? In that process at the time, you could get overwhelmed by it. And because you didn't know what you didn't know. And then sometimes you would have like
you could say it.
I don't want to call it a failure because it wasn't that, but like you would have a slip up.
Yeah.
Or something wouldn't go the way that we thought. Yeah. And I've never met anybody other than myself who was harder on themselves in those moments. And I, as a manager, I had never managed somebody like that. And so I was really struggling to know how I could help you. And I'm also a very blunt manager. And so, you know, we had another coworker where I literally said to her, if you're here in a year, I'm going to fire you because this is not your dream. So let's figure out your dream and let's get you there, right? And with you, I wasn't sure because you also didn't know. Because you
I had no idea.
Yeah. Okay. We're all on the same page. Okay. So now I'm going to detour a little bit. And
but I had no idea. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I was the last to know I had no idea.
But not in this like conceited, narcissistic way.
No.
It was in a way of, I could tell that you were raised as somebody who was given autonomy to explore and discover. And that was sort of me, but not me. That wasn't a said thing in my house.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, no one is doing it for me. So I got to figure it out. Like I was a latchkey kid or whatever. Like, so you just figure things out and you don't ask for help and you go about and do it. And when I was young, you could not tell me that I could not be a CEO of a company. Now, at my age now and however many years working, I do not want to be the CEO of a company. Right? Like it's not, but at that age, I was like, let me tell you. Although I had jury duty the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the attorneys, I'm not going to say who, because, you know, whatever, but one of the attorneys was young and bumbling and just was so nervous and couldn't get it together. And I was like
hard to watch.
I laughed out loud multiple times, which is not great. But I was like, I could try this case right now. I could try this case and get this dude up. So I still have some of that in me. Okay. So when I grew up, this relates, I promise. I was trying to figure out a way to connect with you and help at the same time because I loved you. Like I wanted you on we had so many long one-on-ones. I just loved you and I wanted to figure it out. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was. And then I thought about some things. I was watching a documentary, which I now do a lot and I think means I'm actually old because it's all
You've
I
always been a
watch.
documentary girly.
Thank you for saying that because now I feel real old when I do
You've
it.
always been like that.
I like to learn, right?
Yeah.
I like to understand why people do what they do. So I'm watching this documentary and I have the name of it here. Hold on. I wrote it down because I wanted to source it correctly. It was a 2017 documentary on HBO called Yukon, the March to Madness.
Oh, I remember you talking about this a lot.
It's all gonna come together in a few minutes. And so what you should know about me is a big basketball kid. I had two homes growing up, right? Where, divorced parents. Yes. And there was only one thing in common in both of those houses, and it was basketball. My dad, my stepdad, and all three of my brothers, they would yell at the TV constantly, right? But the thing that has always stayed with me is my stepdad, shout out Papa Doc, Pops, Pop, whatever his nicknames are. He would say, you gotta get under the basket. You gotta rebound. He's like, baskets don't win basketball games. Defense wins basketball games. And for whatever reason, that expression in all the myriad of forms he said it stuck with me. And so I was watching this documentary in Yukon, and the coach, Gino, I do not remember. I mean, this was almost 10 years ago, right? But he was saying something to the team, and it was pretty consistent in this documentary. And it was that same lesson. And it clicked on me, and I went to work, and you and I had a discussion. We had a one-to-one, and it was, girl, you got to learn to rebound.
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
honestly, that phrase has stuck with me in a way that I, until this exact moment, thought I heard that my whole childhood.
I freaking love that so much.
I was like, that's where I got it.
Well, I'm a little bummed you didn't realize that this was our special moment.
No, just was so ingrained. It hit so hard that I was like, it must have been my child. That's the only way that would have made sense.
So we talked about it. I probably, as I have been here, rambled on about basketball in my youth, right? I was a big Reggie Miller fan and Jalen Rose fan, Indiana Pacer fan. No one knows why. I'm Northwest kid, Trailblazer country. My stepdad used to make fun of me. Sorry, Reggie, but he'd be like, why do you love this peanut head so much? Like,
I don't know either.
This whole thing. But I realized a lesson from that too is that, so Reggie Miller has this really odd shot. It's quirky, it's different, it's unusual. He was very well known for it, and obviously great 3-point shooter, whole nine. But he got that shot because he played against his sister his whole life in Riverside, California, who is, I don't even think arguably, or at the time, was a much better basketball player than him. And she continually blocked his shots all the time. So he had to learn how to get around that, which I just think is cool and probably not relevant, but whatever. I love it.
It's super relevant.
Shout out Reggie and Cheryl. Okay, I keep shouting out people. Sorry. It's weird.
Shout them out.
Maybe I feel like they'll come talk to me.
Yes.
Reggie Miller.
Reggie, Cheryl.
Reggie Miller did one time repost a story of mine, and I almost lost my mind. I was like, oh my God. I did. I reposted his repost. Like, it was sick. Anyways. Okay, so we have this conversation.
Yeah.
So for you, the first question I want to ask you is like, although we've probably been talking for 20 minutes and it's all been me. Do you remember that moment or do you remember that conversation at all?
I remember the emotion, not so much the conversation. I remember recognizing both of us that something was changing.
Okay.
That was my main takeaway.
Okay.
I'm sure as you say something, it'll jog my memory. And it was
I love that.
I was like, now we're pivoting to like what you're about. Come on, basketball.
Yeah.
Pivoting to the next like step.
Okay.
Like, we're like going to start transitioning into what that next step would be.
I love that.
That's like my main.
I want to talk about transitioning in a minute because I think you've had a lot.
Yeah.
And for somebody still so young, which I think is really interesting. So following this conversation, we put some sort of plan in action. Don't ask me the details. I probably have it in my files somewhere. Like I probably wrote it down or I don't even know. And I probably have a PowerPoint about it. But what I did do is I stayed late that night.
Really?
I did. And I went, you'll remember this in a minute. I think you will. I hope you will. Otherwise, I'm such a nerd, you guys. Okay. I stayed late that night and I went and looked up as many pictures of because I told you about the Yukon basketball team. I told you about the documentary and I explained it. and my stepdad I probably talked about.
Yeah.
And I went
this conversation.
Yeah. And I went and cut out all these. I printed company paper and printer pictures of UConn basketball players. And I cut them out and I covered your desk in them.
I do remember.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Don't cry. And this became our theme for the year. I'm
Yes.
very big on themes for the year.
Yes.
And your year was the year of the rebound.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know timing,
Mhm.
but somewhere within that year, you had a lot of ideas.
Mhm.
Do you remember what any of them were?
Ideas about like what I was going to do. Well, at one point I thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then I thought I was going to go into coding.
This tells you a lot about Lucy, by the
Yeah.
way. She's very intelligent. She gets,
ADHD.
you get excited about
Mhm.
things. You, like me, we get passionate
Mhm.
about a lot of things, which is probably the ADHD.
Or just the pure joy.
Yes.
I tell myself.
Yes.
Those are the two biggest ones.
Okay.
I remember studying for the LSAT.
Yes. So you quit
Yes. Well, yeah, let's start
and
here.
you told me you were quitting.
Yeah.
To become a lawyer and study for the LSAT.
Yeah.
Okay. And we stayed in contact or
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe 6 months later, you made a huge life choice that had nothing to do with being a lawyer.
Mhm.
What did you do?
I moved to Mexico.
And like, where did that come from? How did it come about?
I had always been a traveler and always thought it was like super important to experience different cultures and different people and like different like walks of life.
Sure.
And I really struggled at Milestone, the place where I worked. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I really struggled there with having like a purpose and having it be like something that mattered. Like the word matter really was important to me. And I think that's one of the things that drew me to being a lawyer was that I could do something that did matter and I could like
make a difference,
instill difference in something. And then when I realized that like just wasn't going to be like my skill set or like, let me rephrase, my skill set wouldn't 100% lend itself to being a lawyer. Like there would be like barriers
that
like,
you thought?
I don't know that I would have like the retention.
So you don't know this. I also wanted to be a lawyer.
Really?
A large portion of my life, I went, originally my major was business law.
I didn't know that. Oh my God. Okay. So yeah. Twins.
It's a lot of connections for us.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted something that mattered. And then I had volunteered at the Humane Society in college a lot and had always been like a big animal girl for kind of no reason. Like no one in my life did animal things. So
you had animals.
Not really. Like I asked for a dog my whole life and then out of nowhere, Will got one.
Will is her brother.
Will's my brother. I'm still bitter about that. And I think fairly so. But I'd always wanted pets and like always wanted animals. And then I was like, I'm going to go volunteer and travel. Because then my grandparents had died and I didn't know, but they had left me.
I remember this. Yeah.
But for somebody being 22, 23, it felt like I was a millionaire.
Yeah.
I totally wasn't a millionaire, but it totally felt like I was like, I can go do anything.
So my life is open.
Yeah, I think it was $10,000.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to go. I was thinking I'll start in Australia and work my way back with 10,000. So I obviously didn't do that because that would have been the 10,000. So I was like,
to get there.
I'm going to volunteer and I'll do like work abroad stuff. And I'll like figure out a way to like stay somewhere longer where like maybe I'll make $20, but like I'll get free lodging or something. And then there's this program called Workaway, shout out Workaway for real. And you can post anywhere around the world about what kind of like work away programs you have. And there are some that were like animal shelter-esque. And I love Mexico. I studied Spanish my whole life. And so when I found this one, I was like, okay, this is perfect. Like I can dip my toes in the water in like the animal world. I can go to Mexico. I can like speak Spanish. I'm like going to be in a cool area. Let's just go reset. Cause like clearly what we're doing right now is nothing. I was like, I'm only going to be this age once where I have truly no responsibility. Like I had nobody needing me.
Yeah.
I had no mortgage. I had no real bills.
Yeah.
Like I had my rent, but I could just like cancel my lease.
And did you, excuse me for the coughs, guys. When you have a guest, you can't mute your coughs out. Did Workaway pay you or it was just lodging?
So depending on what kind of like, you can advertise what you're offering, and some people will offer money and some people won't.
Okay.
It's just depending on what like service you went with. This one did, and I got paid for lodging. My lodging was covered, and I got about $20 a week.
And it was a place with animals.
Yes.
And I remember, but we're going to say, remind me what you did there. Like, what was the goal of that organization?
The goal was to basically rescue Mexican dogs.
Okay.
And to get them out and
rehome them.
And rehome.
Okay. And how long were you there?
Just about a year.
Okay. Now, in terms of a rebound, how was this a rebound for you?
It couldn't be more of a rebound. I feel like I finally was myself. Like I figured out who I was after this and like what really mattered to me. I remember when I was working in corporate, I was like, I'm scared I'm going to be the 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old who's just worked in corporate her whole life. It's this like jaded personality and this like jaded experience.
Yeah.
And is like just been talking about the pens that I got at this trade show. I'm like, I don't give a shit about these pens. Like,
sorry, that was a big thing for us, was like the swag at a trade show.
Yeah, but I was like, I just can't care about the swag at a trade show. Like, I can care, but I can't.
And people care.
People care.
I meet the husky dog, the stuffed animal.
The way that the husky dog broke up homes.
Yeah, it broke up homes. Little tiny plush dog.
Yeah, that people would give to their kid that they just forgot that they still had. No, I feel like I was a messy. This is a great example. I was messy before I went to Mexico.
You were very cluttery.
I was messy.
Okay. At work, it was cluttered.
It was
but
foul.
Sure. I had never been to your home.
It was heinous. And out of absolute nowhere, I'm a clean freak. That got put together. Like, just like pieces started falling in line for me in ways that made sense. I figured out how to be clean because of what mattered. Like, got rid of like the physical and the metaphorical junk. That was really great.
I think too, Susie Orman talks a lot about like people have messy finances, often have messy homes, or like the junk drawer isn't the only thing that's chaotic. And so she always talks about organization having such an impact on finances. So I could see it with like worth, maybe confidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think also just becoming like an adult, more like I know who I am.
Yeah.
Like, because I left everything, I learned who I was and then got to re-enter the world as who I was.
And was it hard to come back and re-enter the world?
It was just different. Like, when I came back, I had so much more confidence than I had before and like trust in myself. I don't really know why a dog shelter would give me those two things. Like, what an interesting takeaway, but it totally did.
Well, you were in service of another living being.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to equate this to parenthood, so don't come at me.
No, it's not parenthood.
Don't
but
tweet
it's
me.
not parenthood.
But so many people do only think of themselves. We're a very insulated culture now, community and things like that have somewhat gone to the wayside. And so if you're not a parent and you don't have kids, because married people and child people, parents, child people, parents remind me constantly for years now, like, you don't know what it's like to take care of another human being. Now, that is not accurate, and I know that, and we'll talk about that another time.
That's a whole different.
But for someone who's young and maybe had parents, like, you're taking care of something else, so not everything's about you now.
Yeah, that was really helpful. And I got to live with people from all over the world. And that was so helpful. Like, I had worked in an intercultural company, and that was huge. But then to live with people and to like be friends with them and to like go to the bar at night or like go on this dog walk. But the way that like we both approach crossing the street is very different. Like, just to have this like more like homogenous group of people was cool.
Unhomogenous. Yeah. Homogenous is everybody's the same.
I was really proud of that word.
Okay.
Unhomogenous.
All right.
Brittany, I hope you're not listening to this podcast.
Also, sorry to correct you.
No, you absolutely shouldn't, because that's the opposite of what I meant, which is a class move of mine.
I do the same things, and sometimes I'll do it on here, and I'll be like, guys, I don't know if I used that word right. Roll with it if I did, and ignore it if I didn't.
Yeah.
So what did
I'll say it with confidence, though.
Oh, you have to. Yeah. No one is going to listen to you.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah. By the way, sorry. Half the men in the world, that's the only reason they have success is they say it with confidence.
No, I know. That's also a different podcast.
Also, half the men in the world is not an exact statistic. And I'm not citing a source. I'm just
I'll say
making
it.
a comment.
I'll say it. Just cite me.
So what happens when you get back? And I want to ask this in two forms.
Okay.
What did people accept the new version of who you were?
Okay.
Or did you get pushed back? And then what happened next to get you to the next rebound?
People did accept me. I
Okay.
think I was just like a more like formed person of myself. So it was like either get it or don't, like get with it or don't.
And maybe they were like, this is who we knew you were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
So I moved back and I wasn't sure like what life was going to look like for me. I didn't know if I was going to go back and travel. I thought I was. I thought I was going to come back for a year, make money. I was going to live in my parents' house, save every single thing I made, and then go travel for a while. Well, I came back in 2019.
Okay.
And so saving money for a year would put me in March 2020 in Australia.
It's pretty interesting on the outside when we're tying years to this, because it seems a lot longer ago than that.
Doesn't it?
It really does. And I wanted to add one aside. When Lucy came back, when you came back, I'm still learning the process. When you came back, you looked different. And I remember saying to you, there you are. And like your face glowed. Like you've always been this really beautiful woman, but there was something different of where you didn't look sad anymore.
Yeah.
You didn't look lost anymore. And it was so visible without you saying a word.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And I remember thinking,
thank God she did that.
yes, but also like, wow, like what to do that kind of work so young and have permission, but also give yourself permission to do that work is pretty bold, especially as a woman. And I was just like, I will cry. I was so proud of you.
Oh my God.
I was so proud of you because it was like you had so much to offer and you were getting lost in how to do it by trying to do too much for too many.
Yeah.
Or prove a point or be a picture.
Or be who I wasn't.
Yes. Yes. And it was just so clear. And I was like, damn, maybe I need to go to Mexico. But I am really allergic to animals.
Yeah. And this shelter was a house. It was just a house of 40 dogs.
Would have been my nightmare.
You could have done it. No.
Love animals, but don't love animals.
Love
It would be
over
their
there.
nightmare. So what do you do when you get back?
So I was like, I'm going to apply for like easily quittable jobs. Like, I don't want a corporate job. I want a job where I can clock in, clock out. I'm not going to have like people depend on me. I'm not going to become like too valuable. First of all, not that I confidence, not that I had any skills to become too valuable. But I was like, I don't want a job like, I was like, I want to work at like Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Or like, I want to like something simple where I can just like make some money and leave.
Yep.
So I ended up at a vet. Which was the vet that somebody who I went to middle school with, their father started. And this is like where my family had taken the dog that I didn't circle back. The dog that I didn't get.
Trauma.
Yeah. Seriously.
I get it.
Seriously. There. So then I was like, I had known this place for a while. And so I wrote a letter to the vet.
Of course.
And I was like, you should hire me. I think I said it a little bit nicer than that. And then I put it in his home mailbox. Because only I know where he lives.
So also, one of the things that Milestone used to do is they would bring in the Puppy Express. What is it called? The Puppy Express? Okay.
Yeah.
So at the holidays, they would bring in like shelter animals to play with the employees in the hopes that they would adopt.
Yeah.
And every time it happened, Lucy started crying. She would hold the puppies and kittens and she'd be like, I just love you so much. And so this checks, you're like, I know a vet. I'm going to go write him a personal handwritten letter.
Yeah.
It shows so much about who you are.
Yeah. So I worked at the vet for 2 years.
Wow.
And unfortunately for me, I became incredibly valuable.
Yeah, of course.
I started as a tech and then I was there for like a year. Techs are like the person who like they're like, okay, we're going to take them back and give their vaccines and stuff like that. That's the person who does all that. And then COVID hit. And so we weren't sure what was going to happen in the vet world. But so then we had 2 clinics. So we had to basically separate the team so that there wasn't any like quote unquote cross contamination.
Sure.
So if one clinic went down, basically one was still standing. And so then I got sent to the other clinic and then was helping manage that clinic.
Okay.
And then I was there until 2021.
What did you end up doing in 2021?
I then went to a translation company.
I forgot about that. And at this point, are you still just looking for jobs, not really knowing what you want to do next?
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew I needed out of the vet space.
Okay.
I knew I needed that. It is like a very high pressure job, and I am a very anxious ridden person. And those are like not like super compatible things. And so I wanted out, and I was frustrated that like my pay wasn't going to get better. In like a classic tale.
Of course.
I have this like degree. I need to like get a little bit more serious. I need better healthcare. Like get a little bit more serious. Still not really sure.
And then I want to stop you and backtrack. At the job at the vet,
Yeah.
the way you felt at Milestone, that it was like I couldn't rebound. So I messed up. Crap, my life is over. I'm going to get fired, whatever those feelings were.
Yeah.
Did you have those same feelings at the vet? Or did you take some sort of learning from your time in Mexico and your time away of like how to rebound from something going wrong?
It was definitely way better.
Okay.
Way better. The problem with the vet, though, is that like you do have live things.
That's why I asked.
There's a lot more like serious threat
and emotions.
Yeah, right. There's a lot more that goes in. Like I remember one time I gave an injection under the skin instead of in the muscle, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Not always is it wrong,
Sure.
but in this case it was wrong. And I totally freaked out there because I was like, I ruined the dog. Like that's just part of my language. That's like that's so bad.
Yeah.
And the vet was like, it's totally fine. And she's like, we're just going to give fluids under the skin. Basically, like the side effect of that was you'd have a rash.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll take a rash.
Yeah.
We love rashes. Like, that's
would
fine.
you, up until, let's not talk about today, but let's say till then, would you have considered yourself a person who catastrophized easily? Okay.
For sure.
I am that way
Queen
as well.
of.
I am that way.
Yeah.
And by the way, and tell me if this is you. I am only that way with myself.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I am a problem solver for everybody else.
Somebody comes and tells me a problem, they're freaking out.
Yep.
I'm like, here's the answer.
And I'm calm in it and I'm like, whatever. But if it involves me,
the house is burning.
it's a disaster.
Yeah.
My life is over. Or no one's ever going to talk to me again. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the stakes are higher, but you have learned a little bit
And
more.
skills.
Okay. Yeah.
More coping skills.
And so do you feel more confident in who you are and what you can bring to a professional setting?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. And I also think it was so important to me to be around totally different types of people. Like there's the corporate person and then there's the vet person. And they are all incredibly smart in such different ways. But to be around just totally different people, like people are not wearing suits every day.
Yeah.
Like people are coming in from having like an actual like life.
Yeah.
And to be around that was also really good.
And for West Coast people, because East Coast corporate is so different from West Coast corporate, but this particular company was a little bit more on the East Coast corporate. There were suits. I'm going to tell this story without fully telling the story. There was a point in time in which someone wanted someone else to be told how to get a suit tailored because they didn't look professional. I want to be careful because I don't want to put anybody on blast, but like it was that serious. They were like, I can't take this person serious with their sleeves that length.
Yeah.
And I was like,
what a great problem.
because also if you know me or you,
Yeah.
that is not who we are.
Not shit about your sleeves.
But also like I have a weird thing about pant lengths.
Yeah.
I will be honest, but it's
but
like
not enough to have a conversation about it.
And your job depends on it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you should have seen me trying to come up with solutions. I was like, well, what if we give all of the workers a stipend for tailoring?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of a
Equitable way.
cultural and equitable way to do this. Anyways, again, all these different subject matters. But we also are just not people who, like, I don't want to wear pantyhose. And I don't want to wear a suit. And so that corporate environment, and a lot of West Coast corporate is not like that. I came from sports. Like, it's never how I dress. Okay, so what happens next? Where do you go and what do you do?
So then I'm at the translation company for 3 years.
Wow.
Oh my God. 3 years. And I'm work from home the whole time because it's COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm an anxious girly.
Yeah.
And so I'm home.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever had a full work from home job. I had always I guess the vet or being at the shelter was kind of work from home, but in a total different way. Yeah. It was the first time that I had ever had that. And kind of then only relied on myself. Cause there's not people around you to be either just working with or talking to about something or problems that I'd be hey, can I call you?
Yeah.
It's just,
and you want to prevent that. So you're what steps do I take so that I don't have to make the call?
Yeah.
Whereas in the office, you're I need to get up from my desk anyway.
Yeah. And then that I'd be I can't be bothered. Can you come help me type this note up?
Yeah. Okay. So you're in translation. So this is all leading up to what's happening now in your life, right? Okay. So in that process, somewhere in there, you got married.
Somewhere in there, I got married.
Okay.
Yeah, early on, actually.
And bought a home.
Yes.
Okay. I knew that, but I didn't know if it was in this timeline.
All in 2021. Big year.
And how old were you? 2021.
I was 26.
Okay. So this is a big fucking deal.
Yeah, this is a big
deal.
deal. Yeah.
Marriage at 26 is not a big fucking deal, although it is slightly.
I'll say it's a big deal.
Wait.
Crazy.
Let me change that. Let me change how I said that.
Okay.
Up until a certain time, the average American woman got married very, very young. And in the last 20 years or so, non-college educated women, the average woman gets married between, I think it's 26 and 28 ish. So what I meant more was it happens,
it's
right? It's not this whoa, you did that so early or so late or whatever. But buying a home as a woman at 26 is a big deal. Now it is becoming less of a big deal. I don't know the exact stat. I should have looked it up beforehand, but I didn't know this was going to come up. There are more single women who are now buying property than single men, for example. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So do you feel empowered? Do you feel wow, this whole journey from being this anxious girly, as you say, to not knowing where I was going to go, not knowing how to pick myself back up, look at where I rebounded and got to. And holy shit, this is my life at 26.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay.
I recognized that it was
You
crazy.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also recognized that if COVID hadn't happened, no way would I have been able to afford that.
Okay.
Because I was living at home. And because
you were saving all that money.
100% of the money I made. It wouldn't have been.
Okay. And did you take a moment to be proud of that step in your life?
Yeah, I think the night that we moved in, we had champagne and I think we probably watched trash TV on the couch with pizza.
I actually remember texting with you when you guys signed and I was hey, bottle of champagne, you have to christen a home.
Yes.
So I love that. And I love that you took the moment to say, look at what I did.
Yeah.
I think that's really...
It was cool.
It's wonderful. It's rare, especially for nervous or ADHD people to be proud of themselves or sit in the moment and not dismiss it or push it away. And that to me, if I think back to 22-year-old you, that's the ultimate rebound, right? You can say, wow, I made some mistakes, but look at where it has brought me. Look at where I learned and all that. And so then in the last year or so, you get an idea.
As I do.
With a friend. And you say, I'm going to start my own business. Why?
Great question.
I didn't know how else to say it. I never ask short questions.
Yeah. I was waiting for more.
Yeah.
So, I started a company with my best friend from college. I met her because I had a roommate who we were fine, but we were not
clicking.
Yeah, we weren't going to be besties. But I was this girl right next door to me has a dog.
Of course. It all comes back to the animals.
I was I'm going to be your best friend.
Yeah.
And so
shout out Marcy.
Yeah, shout out Marcy. Love you to bits. She and I have talked since college that we wanted to have a real estate empire, having no idea what that meant. But we're we're going to have a real estate empire. And then she used to work for Intel and she had been there since college.
Wow.
As a steady, 10 plus years Intel.
Wow.
And when this last round of layoffs was happening, she was I think I'm actually ready to be done. I feel I've got what I can out of this. And I was at a similar point with my translation job where I was I also feel I've think I've got what I can out of this job. I don't know what's next. And she was like, I don't know what's next. So we're like, maybe we should do that real estate empire thing.
Mm.
And then it just like kind of happened in a weird, fast way.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, let's do it. And so we started taking the classes and we like made a website, and then we got a client and we're like, oh my God, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then now we have 5.
So I want to, well, first of all, tell us the name of the company.
Thompson and Clifford.
Perfect. And you have a website?
Yes. ThompsonandClifford.com.
Okay. So I've gotten to be a spectator in this. I've even been to some of your guys' planning sessions at the library. And
very, very milestone coded with the planning of the marketing and all of that.
which I love because you got to learn from me, and that makes me feel cool. And I don't feel cool a lot of the time, guys.
Oh my God, you're very cool.
The reason I want to talk about this part is because part of rebounding for me, in the less basketball sense of the term and the life sense of the term, is it can be very easy to see other people succeed and think that they have more access, support, resources. They're luckier. They have more opportunities than you, especially when things aren't going right. And I feel that wholeheartedly with this business and this podcast. It's like, well, why am I not making more money or any money?
Why am I not the number one?
Right. What, why aren't people, whatever. And you can think, well, then it's not going to work. And what I have loved about watching you and Marcy, sorry, Marcy, is you all used free resources, free meeting spaces. My favorite story of this company is that for your headshots and company image, you went to JCPenney's to a photo studio, $14.99, and got your pictures taken together. And you had fun with it. You did outtakes and serious, and you didn't hold yourself too seriously, which for someone with ADHD, this may not be you, but I think it is you. So I'm going to say it. As my therapist says, with the propensity to feel like you need to be perfect all the time, right? This idea that you could have fun with starting a business and you can make space for that shows a learning in your other processes of what you didn't want in your professional life and now what you're switching to. And so I want to make space for saying that to people, that like, you don't have to look, sound, talk, or do what other people have done to be successful, right? You can do it in a way that's authentic to you. Now, it might take longer. It might not. And utilizing free resources, I think, is the hugest. Like, you guys would call me and you'd be like, hey, we're going to do a working session. I know you're working on a lot of stuff. Do you just want to join us? We rented a room at the library or whatever, checked out a room from the library. And we're going to sit in here and do it. Or we're going to go to this college that has rooms. Or we're going to go to a coffee shop. You took free classes or very low cost classes to learn things. You asked other people. You utilized the resources and the network and the community that you had. Now, this company is not a year old. It's not the empire in the way that people look at empire. No. Right?
Yeah.
But empire also means different things to different people. Right? Like, I've really had this feeling since COVID. COVID really changed who I was, what I wanted, and what I aspired to in such a major way.
I think for a lot of people.
I agree. I think everybody's journey is hard. I think for me, learning this lesson at this age is much harder than I think it would have been for me 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Because you're at this point where you're supposed to be winding down and you're like, well, wait a minute, like I don't have what I'm supposed to have. And you start to question and compare and do all of those other things. But I dream a lot, or I dreamt a lot during COVID about winning the multi-million-dollar lottery. So I would say I'm a sage in Palo Santo, and I'd manifest and I'd be like, I want to win the lottery. And guess what? I did. I won $14. And I said, oh man, well, it works, but I need to be more specific, right? And to me, that really relates to the art of the rebound, because rebounding is intentional. It is not accidental. Now, yes, there's been someone under the hoop that was like, whoa, and the ball bounces off their head and they get it. But real rebounding, they're pulling it down, right? They're jumping with intention. They're pulling it down with intention. And then if you really study and watch, you'll notice that they instantly start to scan the court.
Yes.
Because now that I've got it, what do I do with it? And I have to make that decision quickly.
Yep.
And I think that's where so many people lose the rebound. They do it. They don't know what to do with it. They get lost. They get stuck. And they don't score from the rebound.
Yeah.
Look at me with all these sports analogies.
Yes. It's like you can rebound or you can be a rebounder.
Yeah. Well, from your perspective, I would like you to put more words on that.
I think you can be somebody who just like clumsily caught the ball and rebounded, or you could be the person who clumsily caught the ball and made decisions to continue.
Yeah. And trusted that you knew what to do, right? And I think starting a business, completely making a career shift, all of those are very big acts of bravery. And in today's culture, I think with women, and again, I hate to always make it about this, but technically that's what the podcast and the business is about.
Yeah.
I think women are given less permission to turn course, to switch course, to do something different, to trust themselves and be intentional with what they're going to do. So if we can start to close this out, what I would like to ask you is, how do you now use intentionality when you rebound, whether it be professionally or in life? How do you use intentionality for that?
I don't know if this answers your question, but I think I trust myself a lot more. And I trust that the decision I want to make is the right decision. Maybe that's just for me, or maybe it's for my business, or maybe it's for my friendship with Marcy. I just feel like I have a lot more trust in what I'm doing. And I think that will change how I continue to rebound, is that now I have a lot more like confidence in what I'm doing and who I am.
I'm going to ask a strange question from a single gal.
Okay.
Do you think obviously I know a lot about you, and I don't want you to share anything that isn't comfortable, but you have a partner, and I say partner purposely, because it's someone from my viewpoint, and I don't know her well, but I know you well from your time with her. And it feels as if you have a partner who maybe makes that easier.
100%.
And so how has the partner you've chosen helped you to feel more secure in that?
I mean, the most literal way is that she still has a job. And if we can just be super transparent.
No. So this leads to an episode that's happening later this season. I don't know who my guest is yet, but I have a premise. And we may have talked about this before. It's the concept of a nest and a net.
Yeah.
And you get to develop confidence when you have built a nest for yourself and a net for yourself. And oftentimes the partner is the net. And so in this case, you could make a decision because financially you're in this together and you have a net. So okay. I like the realness of that. Yeah.
Super. I mean, just to be super honest.
Yeah.
But also like I have been so grateful. She will say, go do it. And like, if I ask her follow-up questions because of my anxiety, she's bothered because she's so unanxious about it. And to see somebody immediately have no anxiety about a decision that I'm contemplating making is very confirming that it's a good decision.
I love that. I have a friend like that. A friend who is Stacy, who we talked about earlier. She's so unbothered by things that really leave me a puddle.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that's exactly.
And the whole time we've known each other, and it used to be like, I don't know if we're going to be able to maintain this friendship because she's so unbothered, and it makes me feel like I'm ridiculous. But as our friendship has grown over the last decade or two, or however long it's been, it has become something that is like a confirmation, a check mark.
Yeah.
That it's like, it's okay that you're stressed about this.
Yeah.
But here's another way to see it.
Yes.
Or not to be worried. And so I like that you have that in a partner.
Yeah, I got
that's
super lucky.
I think that's really amazing. Does she ever challenge you to say, do you really think this is a good idea? Like, does she also give you the devil's advocate?
Yes, 100%. Not necessarily in this.
Okay.
But she'll give it to me
in other things.
In other ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you could leave anybody who's listening with anything, with regards to the importance of rebounding, whether it be what its impact is in your life, whether it is what you wish you knew then or know now, or just like, hey, here's what helped me. What would you say to someone?
I think you got to put your mask on first.
Oh,
You know, like the airplane analogy.
sorry, I didn't know what you meant by that. I was like,
No, I think you have to put your mask on first. Like you
Yeah.
cannot rebound when you're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can do some rebounding, but you can't be a rebounder when you are not okay. You have to be
I love it.
your number one and get yourself in a good spot.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Before we leave,
Yeah.
anything you wish we would have talked about, we would have said, anything you wanted to ask, or I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm just so grateful to like get to talk to you about this.
Me
like
too.
how cool 10 years later to be
Yeah.
in this moment.
Yeah, I like that. I like it for so many reasons.
Mhm.
I think, especially in professional settings, you know, we make jokes about like having a work bestie,
Mhm.
right? And then suddenly you leave that job and this person is no longer in your life.
Yeah.
But we spend so much time with the people
Yes.
that we work with. And everybody knows I have a lot of bones to pick about corporate culture.
Yeah. I
right?
really does.
And we're living in a time, unfortunately, where the progress we have made in workplace culture is starting to be denigrated and destroyed. And for me, one of the issues that I always have is that, are you authentically investing in these people because you care about their future or
Right.
not? And if you do, then some of those relationships should be maintained past the job.
Yep.
And the fact that ours has,
Yeah.
that there is almost 2 decades between us in age, and yet we can meet and we can learn from each other and we can be inspired by each
Yeah.
other. It gives me hope that we are going to continue to see progress. And that's all anybody can want.
Yeah.
Personally, professionally, politically, the fate of the world, right, is progress. It's what we want. It's what we say we want for our children.
Mm-hmm.
And then oftentimes we get mad when it happens. It's just so weird. It's like this push forward and then we get pushed back. And it's the cycle of these things. But it makes me so proud that we have both been able to impact each other's life in a way that carries on a decade.
100. And I'm so grateful for you because also I would not be here if it wasn't for those conversations. Like
Yeah,
it
I
would
love
be
that.
in a totally different position. So there's so much value in having just one person in your life be like, what are we doing?
And
How are we getting you?
So this is how I'm going to end. I love that you said that. For anybody who wonders what allyship, mentorship, or advocacy looks like, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that as me as your boss and me as the expert, because this has been returned to me.
Aw.
Okay. But it is not a piece of paper. It is not these things that we put into place. It is authentically caring about someone. And we say it all the time, being supportive, but demanding.
Yeah.
You have to see somebody and say, I know you're not okay right now, but you have more.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to push them to find that. Now, you cannot shove them.
No.
You can't,
It's a
whatever.
balance.
Right? There's a
an
balance to
answer.
it. But you cannot just like everything somebody does and nod your head.
That's not support.
It's not. And it's not advocating for what is right for them. Now, you can't push your own ideals and values.
Yes.
And so questions and curiosity, shout out to Robin Anderson, curiosity becomes such a big, I was genuinely curious about you as a human being. And so the conversations that we had, we were able to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And that is what mentorship looks like. That's what allyship looks like. That's what advocacy looks like. And that is why DEI and all of these things matter, because it's that.
Yep.
And that is how I'm going to end the episode. I am so grateful to have had you on the episode and had it. We will, I don't know what they're going to be yet, but guys, we're going to post some free resources and things like that on the website so that you can figure out your way to being a rebounder. Thank you. And we'll see you next time on Wait, Hold Up, What? Wait, Hold Up, What is brought to you by the women at Eliminate Girl Hate. We are edited and mixed by the good people at Epiphany Recording Studio. Make sure to subscribe to get notified of new episodes and support our program. To learn more about the work we are doing, get resources to help you and or your business, please visit us at eliminategirlhate.com. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at Instagram at wait.holdup.what and eliminate_girl_hate. As always, your support means everything to us, and it is the way that we can continue to make positive and uplifting program that supports women and girls around the world. Thank you. We are sponsored by Epiphany Recording Studio. Creativity needs to flow freely if you want to reach that aha moment that we're all looking for. At Epiphany Recording Studio, their goal is to create space that takes full advantage of those moments. From podcast and video production to music creation, you get the support you need to create compelling stories with a competitive sound. Your ideas can flow freely because they partner with you free of judgment, ready to be vulnerable, do the work, and make your projects look and sound their best. So let Epiphany Recording Studio help you reach your artistic vision by visiting them today at epiphanyrecordingstudio.com. Tell them Dawn sent you. Have you ever dreamed of writing a book? I know I have. Or maybe, also like me, you've started a manuscript. Maybe you've started 10 and you've just never finished it, or never let anybody else read it, or never thought you could publish it. Wherever you are in the process, Jim Woods would like to help. Jim's a writer just like you, but he's also a coach who loves helping writers bring their books into the world and make them a reality. If you are like me, sometimes you need that push, a supportive but demanding cohort along the way to put your stories out into the world and keep you on track. Jim Woods is that cohort. Visit jimwoodswrites.com and click the Let's Chat button. Mention our podcast for a free clarity call and get your story out into the world because we need it.